What happens when you put Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb
Did you shoot anyone?
together on the same television show? X-Play, the hottest video game show on television.
Heed my words, we can achieve the holy grail of online gaming.
Game reviews,
Another crappy superhero game.
the latest products,
Small hands. You gotta have a small controller.
and a whole lot of fun.
Bet you've never partied with a real dragon.
Don't miss X-Play, tonight at 11:30, only on Tech TV.
Hey, welcome back. Our next guest is way into Mars. He's the filmmaker behind the documentary Project Red Star, Martian Genesis, and the author of the book Ruins of Tithonia, and he believes that he is in possession of pictures that provide incontrovertible evidence of an extraterrestrial colony that once thrived on Mars. Stuart Best, welcome to Unscrewed.
Well, welcome, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate being on your show.
It's our great pleasure, sir. So if the evidence is conclusive, incontrovertible, how come more people don't know about it?
Well, that's a very good question because it's been there. It's been on the internet for about 2 years, and I think probably because no one has bothered to look in that particular area.
So were you just surfing around the internet and found these images of Mars and saw the ruins in there?
Well, what we were actually doing, I'm a video producer, and we were doing a documentary on another subject that called for a possible exploration of the Martian surface, and so that's what got us interested, and we began to search for anomalies on Mars, and we found this particular area and really began to investigate it. And the more we investigated, the more we found that there is no question. There's artificiality there. There are engineered structures.
And you think that these pictures that you found on the internet prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that a civilization once existed on Mars? Let's talk about some of the individual structures. The mining building, tell me about that.
All right, if you, on the picture, if you look at the left-hand side about a third of the way up and go over slightly, you'll see a smooth flow of land, and then it's interrupted almost at a 90-degree angle by a large rectangular structure. That rectangular structure is about 450 feet long. It's got a long protrusion that sticks out from it. And there are a number of parallel lines on that structure.
Yeah.
It's well engineered. There's no question. Nature does not provide that kind of a structure.
No, it's perfectly clear. Perfectly clear.
And if you look at the rooftop, you'll find that it's perfectly flat, but there's something centered on the roof that's kind of arched, like, oh, I don't know, a solarium or something of that nature.
Does the mining building have a food court?
Well, who knows? It must have something in there. We don't know really what it's about because we call it a mining building because that's what it reminded us of,
Sure.
but we don't really know what it is.
Close to the mining building in the city of Tithonia is something that you call a statue, maybe a religious statue. Talk about that.
All right, that stands behind an octagon structure, which is clearly visible.
It looks hexagon to me.
Oh, well, hexagon, whatever,
Okay.
but it's of that nature, and it's got a dome on top with an archway leading into it. And right behind it, you'll find a statue that stands approximately 200 feet tall. At first, we thought, well, it's just a pile of rocks, but the more we began to examine it, it appears to be a statue very similar to what you would find in Egypt.
It looks like the statues that were in Afghanistan that the Taliban blew up.
Exactly. That's exactly what it looks like. And in fact, the scale of that statue is almost identical to the Taliban statue.
Do you think that if the Taliban had the chance, they would blow up Mars?
Probably they might.
Hey, if this is a smoking gun, as you claim, why hasn't NASA taken a closer look at it? What are they trying to cover up?
Well, in order to understand that, I think you have to go back to the Brookings Report. The Brookings Report, they're a kind of a think tank. They issued a report back in the 1960s, I believe it was, early 60s, and when we were beginning our space program and space exploration. And they concluded in that it would not be a good idea to release any information that they found that proved extraterrestrial existence.
On the other hand, when they found the microbes from the rocks from Mars, I mean, Bill Clinton took time out of his day to give a little speech about it. Don't you think that the NASA scientists would be excited about this?
Well, they might be excited about finding microbes. Microbes are a whole lot different than finding artificial structures, because artificial structures of the nature that you see there include engineering. That's high intelligence. That's not just microbes. That's a whole different ball game.
Do you think these structures were built by aliens who sort of grew out of the primordial soup of Mars? They evolved there, or did they come from another place and come to Mars?
Well, our guess would be that they came there. Our guess is because of the nature of the planet, and there are other structures there that we're working on right now in that particular area, that's kind of an outpost or an observation post of some sort. What really got us interested was the fact that the scale of those structures, there's a step pyramid there that you can plainly see, there are some wall ruins there, are almost identical to the scale and shape of things found on Earth.
I was watching this video with my downstairs neighbors, and though I could clearly see the city, they couldn't. They thought that you were a little crazy. Granted, they were all a little high on the pot. But what do you say to your critics?
Well, we say they should really examine it. We spent 16 months looking at that. We've done all kinds of tests on it. We've had architectural people look at that. And the conclusion is, by the people that actually do study it, that is artificial. There are people, however, that just simply don't see anything. When you're viewing satellite photography, it does take a little bit for the eyes to adjust to it. But no, there's something there.
Is it not true that the entire city of Sacramento is actually an alien ruin?
Well, it might be.
Stuart Best, thanks so much for being with us today, blowing some of that smoke off the gun.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, those who are interested can get more information about structures on Mars at projectredstar.com. My brothers, does the menstrual cycle of women give you monthly grief? How to use it to your advantage when we return.
And now it's time for another moment in NASA history.
Y'all are gonna quit this damn horsing around over here. I mean it.